What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Today, we're here for the start of our divisional breakdown series. We're going to be kicking it off with the NFC North. And if you guys have been fans of Let's Talk Dynasty for a while, you know this one's going to be close to home. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We'll go through all of the teams in the NFC North, give you guys some players to watch, some breakout predictions, bust predictions, sleeper predictions, all of the good stuff that you guys want for Dynasty Fantasy Football. So if you're looking for some edges in your fantasy football leagues going into the 2025 season, today we're going to talk about a whole bunch of players, but we cannot do that today without my co-host MFGD. So let's get him into the building and let's start talking some Dynasty. I almost said let's start talking some Dynasty trades. Let's start talking these divisional breakdowns. I almost went right into the Dynasty trades.
Hey, you know what? But you count that one and bounce right back. So kudos to you, sir.
Hey, look, we got Dynasty trades tomorrow that we're going to be recording. But like I said, today we are here for the divisional breakdown. And NFC North, man, you know, Vikings, Bears, Green Bay Packers. People are probably not excited, maybe excited to hear us talk about Green Bay. Anything on the mind today now that knowing that we're talking about the NFC North?
We going to have a lot to say.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. But hey, let's not waste time. Let's just kick it right off with the team that Vegas is projecting to be the last place team in the division. That is going to be the Chicago Bears, man. They have a projected win total of 8.5 wins. You know, looking at this team last year in 2024, they went 5-12, finished in 4th place of the NFC North, ended up hiring Ben Johnson, the former offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, as their new head coach, as well as Declan Doyle, who was the former tight end coach for the Denver Broncos. He's now their offensive coordinator. As far as offseason departures, really the only major loss was Keenan Allen, who is a free agent. At least at the time of this recording, he is a free agent. I know he's visiting the Chargers today. But offseason additions, they add Colston Loveland in the NFL draft, Luther Burden in the NFL draft, and Kyle Monangai. So, you know, kind of knowing the win total, how Vegas is looking at them, and kind of some of those offseason additions, you know, we have these fantasy football relevant options here. Looking at Superflex, KTC, the top 250 guys, you know, Caleb Williams, obviously the belle of the ball at the top of the list. Odunze, Colston Loveland, DJ Moore, and Luther Burden kind of as the receiving options there that you're wanting, at least for dynasty purposes. DeAndre Swift, Roshan Johnson, Cole Kmet, and Kyle Monangai are here to kind of round out the top 250. But War, you know, this is your team. Where do you kind of want to start the conversation here for dynasty purposes?
Oh, man. I mean, the Bears, you know, when I woke up this morning, I actually seen a tweet from one of the guys that covers the Bears, and it made me think exactly about what we're looking at right now with all these players. The one thing we know that Ben Johnson is going to bring to the table that no coach that the Bears had really ever is he's going to maximize every bit of offensive talent on this team. And if you're just looking at it on paper, there is a lot of offensive talent here. You got the ADP for DJ Moore. That's what stands out like a sore thumb because DJ Moore is no slouch. I actually think that he could probably be higher. I think you guys could get a ton of sleeper value out of DJ Moore because I actually think he's going to perform a lot better than what the dynasty community is projecting him to do. They have DJ Moore in training camp coming out of the backfield. He's still probably going to be 1A to 1B at a wide receiver one. Odunze, he's definitely going to be a stud this season. Trust me. Hearing great things about Colston Loveland. Seems like he's taken to a fish to water in camp as a rookie. And don't look now, but now Luther Burden is even starting to get a lot of buzz, not just in Chicago, but around the league. Another guy I want to give a little bit of an extra attention to is DeAndre Swift. I think DeAndre Swift could have a very good season. Ben Johnson is very, very, very keen on using his running backs. And unless you get some type of sleeper or breakout situation from Roshan Johnson or Kyle Monangai, then I think that you could get some pretty good production out of DeAndre Swift this season. Cole Kmet, I don't know, man. Rest in peace. I don't have anything good. I don't have anything good for Cole Kmet. I'm sorry, because Cole Kmet seems like a really great dude, but I just don't see with all these weapons here how he benefits from anything. And last season, he was already underutilized. I don't see that changing this season. I think this could be even worse. But obviously, I'm leaving out the biggest name. I've saved it for last, Caleb Williams. And I avoided talking about Caleb because you guys know how I am, just like Andrew is about his guy over there in purple. I tend to go off my skis on Caleb. All I'm going to say about Caleb is that he's developing. He will be your most precious, vital player from this team in the Dynasty community. Do not be afraid to draft him. Trust in Caleb. Trust in the process. The first 4 weeks of the season, you might even think, oh man, why did I draft this guy? I screwed up. But RELAX, relax. It's going to be okay. Caleb Williams is going to be fine. Let him work the kinks out in Ben Johnson's system, and you will bear fruit, my friend. You will bear fruit.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of covered it all here. I'm looking at the ADPs. You got 6 guys that are kind of top 100 options, and that's obviously, high hopes from the Dynasty community. When you have 6 guys in the top 100, that's a lot. So we have high hopes for Chicago. I think a lot of that is on Ben Johnson being the new hire. And really, most of those options, all of those options for the most part, rely on the shoulders of Caleb Williams. Because if Caleb Williams does not develop and Caleb Williams does not turn into who we want him to be, Rome probably doesn't meet the expectation. Colston Loveland probably doesn't meet the expectation. DJ Moore doesn't meet the expectation. A lot of these guys are riding on a Caleb Williams breakout in 2025. And so that's definitely something that I am looking at and paying attention to. When I have, guys like Odunze on my fantasy football team, obviously that comes with the risk of a Caleb Williams development, but I really do believe in Odunze as a breakout in year 2. Caleb Williams has the opportunity to do that as well. I think Luther Burden, looking at the wide receiver options and the receiving options, he's probably the guy that I think is probably going to be the slowest burn. I think he's a super talented player, but probably not going to be super relevant as a rookie with DJ Moore and Odunze and these guys involved. But I'm looking at that running back room. I know you're, kind of confident in Swift. Is there a chance here that Roschon Johnson kind of gets the David Montgomery role and Swift maybe gets that Gibbs role? Or do you think, Ben Johnson's going to do something different here with this running back room?
Okay, so here's the danger in this thing, because I've thought about this. The situation is this. I honestly, truly believe that I'm gonna put David Montgomery role in air quotes because I don't think either of these guys are David Montgomery. That David Montgomery role is actually a 2-horse race between Roschon Johnson and Kyle Monangai. Guys, do not sleep on Kyle Monangai. I'm telling you now. I know what I'm hearing. Do not sleep on Kyle Monangai. Either one of these guys could be in that David Montgomery role. There's a reason why Ben Johnson, right at the start of camp, says, all these positions for the most part are open competition. Roschon Johnson could take DeAndre Swift's spot. I don't think that's going to happen because he doesn't bring the same thing to the table. But that backup role that you're talking about, that David Montgomery role, could definitely be between Johnson and Kyle Monangai. And I think I sent you something the other day, Andrew, about Kyle Monangai. I don't know if I sent it to you or not. Kyle Monangai and him talking to and working with Isaiah Pacheco, 2 Rutgers guys, 2 guys that were drafted in the 7th round, had the same coach, and they're kind of similar in how they play, and they're kind of just similar in just like their background and all that. So I don't know, man. Like, I definitely would have him and as a deep sleeper. I would definitely consider Kyle Monangai.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you sent me that, but it makes sense because, Kyle Monangai as a player did, coming out of Rutgers, like you said, feel very much like Pacheco-ish, and maybe that's just lazy analysis, but he did feel like they played similar at the same time, but it's just coincidence they went to the same school. He's a player that I kind of thought about as like a sleeper candidate, and, we're going to give those bold predictions towards the end of the episode. I thought about him, didn't select him as my sleeper candidate, but he was on my radar as a potential guy because I think he's getting enough buzz right now and could see a role where maybe he's a goal line guy in this offense. And if that's the case, he could definitely return value at that ADP of 219. The only other player that I think we really need to talk about, because I'm with you, I'm in on Caleb Williams. I think Odunze has a year 2 breakout. One of my favorite picks for a breakout in year 2. Loveland's probably the guy at tight end. DJ Moore's a value. Burden we think is talented, maybe a slow burn. I'm with you on pretty much everything. What do we do with Cole Kmet? What do you do with Cole Kmet if you have him in Dynasty? Is he a player that you're holding right now, waiting for injury to maybe just flip him down the road? Or is he just kind of stuck on the end of your bench for who knows how long until, because he signed a contract extension with Chicago last offseason, right?
He did. And the advice that I'm going to give you guys is that whatever you guys are doing with Pat Fryermuth, to do it with Cole Kmet.
And I'm holding Pat. I'm holding Pat.
Yeah, so to do the same thing with Cole Kmet, it's a very similar situation. I mean, without the age being involved, there's a better pass catching tight end in Pittsburgh. So we're going to get to that at a later time.
Next episode.
The next episode, but there's also it's the same situation with Cole Kmet. You gotta hold him. He's going to have a role. It's just that he's not going to have an explosive downfield role like Colston Love. He's probably going to work closer to the margins and things of that nature, catching short passes and seeing what he could do yard after catch. Those deep balls, though, to that tight end position, going to go to Colston Love, and you're going to see the George Kittle stuff out of Colston Love. And I say he's George Kittle. Not saying that, but that's the type of things he's gonna be doing.
Yeah, I think so. The only argument I could give too is that, you brought up Freiermuth. Loveland, I think, is more talented than Jonnu, so it's even harder, I think, with Cole Kmet right now. So that's the only other thing that I think we didn't really touch on. Roschon's been a best ball sleeper for me. I've been drafting him in best ball leagues because obviously Swift hasn't had the cleanest bill of health, and right now, as the backfield sits, if something happens to Swift, it is Johnson and Monangai, and I've been hearing some decent things about Roschon in training camp as well.
And one more little tidbit about Monangai, because I was like, there's something I'm forgetting when I was talking about him. Eric Bieniemy, former running backs coach for Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco has been talking to Kyle Monangai about working with Eric Bieniemy and like the stuff that he helped him with, the stuff that he's working on. So that's something else. There's a lot of overlap with Monangai and Pacheco. So it's kind of crazy when you really think about it. But yeah, Eric Bieniemy probably sees some of Pacheco and Monangai. He's probably giving him some of those tips. So and he's being real hard on him. He's doing the thing. Andrew, you have those teachers that are just complete assholes to you. And it's not because they don't like you, it's because they do like you. That's kind of how Eric Bieniemy's been approaching Kyle Monangai, like, man, you look slow and fat, telling me slow and fat and stuff like that. But in reality, he likes him. So
yeah, he's trying to motivate him to. Yeah, I get it. I've heard a lot about that for Chicago right now. Like Ben Johnson's been doing a lot of that to Luther Burden as well. It seems like he's yelling at him, cussing him out, pulling him off the sideline just so he can put him back in to make him do it right the next time. Like it seems like there's some tough love happening, but like you said, it's love. It's just coming in the tough form right now.
Yeah, because last season it was soft love.
Last season it might have just been soft, whatever. it just wasn't. There was no love even. It was just motherfuckers were soft. But let's move on, man. Let's move on to the next team. We are going to kick it over to the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Minnesota Vikings are projected 8.5 games, and that is after winning 14 games last year, finishing second in the NFC North and losing to the Los Angeles Rams in the wild card round of the playoffs. Obviously, no coaching changes. Kevin O'Connell wins the offensive, or not the offensive, the Coach of the Year award there for the NFL. In the offseason, they lose Sam Darnold. That was no surprise, I think, to most people because they drafted J.J. McCarthy to take over as this team. With him healthy now, he is the quarterback under center. The other offseason additions that they have is Jordan Mason, former running back for the San Francisco 49ers, comes over to be in this backfield, and they drafted Ty Felton in the NFL draft. But looking at these fantasy football options, not as many as the Chicago Bears, but I think these are some very high-end options for fantasy as well. Justin Jefferson, the big name, with J.J. McCarthy there, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Mason, and Aaron Jones. So the Vikings backups, they don't get thrown into this list because, there's no confusion as to who the guys are here in Minnesota. The list you're looking at, those are the starters, those are the guys. But where do you think we should start this conversation off, War? Should we start with the running backs or should we start with, the main topic of JJ McCarthy?
Oh, man. I think we should, honestly, let's start with Jordan Addison.
Okay.
Let's start up because we're going to have a ton to say about JJ and JJ.
Yeah, it's JJ squared.
Yeah, Jordan Addison. I think the question on everyone's mind is what type of suspension we're looking at. How long we're gonna have without Jordan Addison. If you've seen previous episodes of our Dynasty trade shows and things of that nature, you know that I am pretty high on Jordan Addison. I think he's a supreme talent. I feel like if JJ wasn't there, you would be getting, dare I say, wide receiver one production out of Jordan Addison. And I've seen Jordan Addison personally torched my team a couple times last season. So I am not one to sleep on Mr. Jordan Addison, but he does have some legal troubles that he needs to get ahead of at this season. I mean, honestly, with both guys like him and Rashee Rice, I honestly wish that Goodell would just get it over with, get the suspension, let us know so we can know how we should proceed going into our seasons. And, if we need to make a trade to help hold us over and things of that nature. But, when Jordan Addison is on the field, I think you could definitely have with JJ there too. Even if Justin Jefferson is playing, I think you can have some weeks where Jordan Addison could be a wide receiver too. That's straight up. And if somehow JJ is injured, then I think you get a wide receiver one. I think it's just that type of situation. He's transitioned very well into the Adam Thielen role. That's where he is now. TJ Hockenson, I don't know if his ADP should be higher based on the other players taking ahead of him. I just know one damn thing. He's a tight end one. I know that much. He's a tight end one, and he's not like an ancient player where it's like, oh man, this guy's so old. Like, no, man. And I feel like every season people are hating on TJ Hockenson or overlooking him. I don't know what the deal with that is. I know last season he was coming off of a major injury, but I've had TJ Hockenson on some rosters last season. I was satisfied with his production, and I was satisfied with his production in the terms of knowing what he was coming back from. Now, next season, there's no excuse for me. I need to see TJ Hockenson. I expected his age, the Kevin O'Connell performance enhancer, everything related to it. I expect to see TJ Hockenson. The running backs. You're a believer of Jordan Mason. I'm starting to come to that conclusion. I just don't know. You know how I am, man. I need more proof. Man. I need to see him physically take Aaron Jones' head, stick it on the stake and say, this is my running back group now. That's what I need to see, because I don't know, man. I know Aaron Jones old, but I don't know, dog. I mean, it's the Dynasty, yeah, Jordan Mason, but man, we got to see, man. I need to see if the stuff he was doing for the 49ers was an aberration or if it was really just like Jordan Mason, announcing his arrival to the league. So I need to see that. Very sneaky guy for your rosters, because it's either going to be beautiful or it's going to be a disaster. Then let's talk about the big dogs. Now I want to get the small fries out the way.
Well, before we get into the big dogs,
let me
jump in here, because I do agree with a lot of that. I think Jordan Addison, obviously we're waiting on suspension. It's weird to me that at this point in time we haven't heard suspension stuff about both Rashee Rice and Jordan Addison, because it seems like with both of those legal things out of the way and done, concluded, it feels like the NFL should be jumping on that sooner rather than later. I don't know. It's tough to tell. I guess we just operate as if it's not happening until it does, but keep in the back of our mind that it's a possibility of happening. But I agree with you. This is a player that's wide receiver one upside each and every week, probably a wide receiver two most weeks. And Hockenson is a very undervalued tight end. I think tight end 7 in Dynasty rankings right now, it feels undervalued. There's some value there left on the table, because we know how good TJ Hockenson is when he's healthy, and a year removed from that ACL tear should be back to business for him. The big point that I want to talk about the running backs is, Jordan Mason is going ahead of Aaron Jones in ADP, and I think a lot of that is the age of the two guys. But at the end of the day, I am hearing a ton out of Vikings training camp about guys seeing this more as a 50-50 split this year. Jordan Mason could be an early down grinder. Jordan Mason could be the goal line back, and Aaron Jones is a pass catcher, third down pass blocking type of guy. At the end of the day, if that is the case, it's going to be tough to trust either of these guys. But the reality is the ADP and where you can get these guys in trade markets right now at running back 35 and running back 38 prices, these are guys being valued as running back 3s or just bench options for you. So I think there's a lot of value in this running back room. Both guys I think can be relevant with the pass catching work and the goal line work. It's just going to be hard to trust them from a consistency basis. I personally would still have Aaron Jones over Jordan Mason. I view Jordan Mason as the B in the backfield, not the A, but I still think both of them can be relevant. And I like Jordan Mason this year. I've been hearing a lot of good things, and it does seem like, from what I have heard, Kevin O'Connell wants this to be more of a split than it has been in years past. Because keep in mind, this is a team that has brought in guys like Cam Akers and Ty Chandler and a bunch of other names in the past to try and give touches to them at times, but nobody's been good enough, nor has anybody been healthy. And so it's just been giving Aaron Jones a ton of the work. So if Jordan Mason is healthy, I think he's both good enough and healthy to where he can take some touches. So he's somebody that I'm keeping my eye on. But I mean, going to the big guys, like you said, 4 guys in the top 100, a lot of that is going to rely on JJ McCarthy. Justin Jefferson is being drafted as the wide receiver 2, a top 5 player in ADP over on Keep Trade Cut. Currently dealing with a hamstring injury that is keeping him out of training camp, which is definitely something I am monitoring going into the season. But I don't think anybody is nervous about Justin Jefferson. At this point in time, he is as quarterback proof as it comes. We've seen him with Darnold, Mullins, Dobbs, Cousins, everybody, and he still produces as an elite guy. I remember when we did this video last year, Justin Jefferson was coming off the board as like the wide receiver 5 or 6 or something like that. He was like a second round startup. Like it was like 14 in ADP on Keep Trade Cut. And it was like, why are we fading him? And it's people were fading him because of Sam Darnold. Didn't matter. Still went out and produced. But this all relies on the back of JJ McCarthy. You know, his ADP is high now, man. We talked about this in the offseason last year. We talked about this throughout the season. I'd been screaming and pounding the table saying, buy JJ McCarthy, because when he becomes the starter, his value is going to skyrocket. Well, his value has skyrocketed. The quarterback 13 right now in those KTC rankings. It's high expectations, I think, from everybody for McCarthy. And it's funny because the amount of people that were non-believers of JJ McCarthy just 6 months ago are now full-fledged McCarthy fans. And it just feels like everybody is in on the McCarthy breakout. I think it's dangerous when everybody gets really high on one guy, but I believe in McCarthy, so it's not, you know, anything new to me. I've always believed in McCarthy. Go check the receipts. It's just QB13. How do you feel about that specifically, War? And do you believe he's going to be good enough to keep Hawkinson and Addison and Jefferson all as top 80-ish fantasy football options?
You know what? JJ McCarthy is like a crazy chick, a crazy hot chick, right? You see, like, man, she might stalk me. There's a ton of red flags, but man, she's hot. I'm gonna do it anyway. That's what JJ McCarthy is, because all conventional wisdom would say, oh man, this guy's a rookie. He didn't play last year. He got hurt. But it's like, you look at Kevin O'Connell, you look at Justin Jefferson, you look at Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, you look at all these guys, and you look back at JJ and you're like, fuck it, we gonna do it. Like, and that's how I feel about it, man. And that's why I believe in JJ McCarthy. I ultimately believe in JJ McCarthy because I supremely believe in Kevin O'Connell. Like, that's where our confidence in JJ McCarthy comes from. Not just that, but also the little things. Like, JJ McCarthy conducts himself so well in his interviews. He doesn't look like a young player that's phased. He doesn't look like the lights are too bright for him. And I feel like when you take that level of confidence and you combine it with Kevin O'Connell, it's just magic waiting to happen. I feel like the same thing would have happened if you combine Caleb and Kevin O'Connell. It just seems like guys like Caleb, JJ McCarthy, they're wired different. Jaden Daniels is wired. Like, for some reason, this rookie draft class, most of them seem wired different. Now, I can't really speak to Michael Penix, and Bo Nix looks like a young Greg Popovich. So I'm not sure about those two, but those other 3 guys and Drake, man, I think his dialect makes me like him sound less confident. Sometimes he stutters, but the other 3 guys, confidence in spades. But yeah, man, JJ McCarthy just looks the part, dude. Like, it's hard to say, man. You know me, I'm a wrestling guy. It's some guys that just come out and they just look the part. Like, this guy should be winning matches. This guy should be winning matches. They should put the belt around his waist. And I feel the same way about JJ. He just looks like a good quarterback. And when you take that and you go by what he's saying, how smooth he is on the mic, and you go back and you're like, he has a coach that can maximize his talents, I'm not surprised he's QB 13, dude. Like, it's dangerous. It's dangerous because he is essentially a rookie. But sometimes, man, you just got to roll the damn dice.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say to add on top of that, because I agree with all of that. It is very, again, don't hear what I'm not saying when it comes to play. I'm not talking about on the field, but the mentality of JJ McCarthy does feel very Burrow-esque, Tom Brady-esque, Kobe Bryant-esque, where it's like, we're just cool level, like nothing ever matters. Like, it's not too high, it's not too low. This is life. I'm just gonna go out here and just dominate. That's like, my job is to play football, and that's just what I want to do. Like, I think that's kind of the mentality that comes with into the building, and it's crazy because he's the youngest starting quarterback in the NFL. But at the end of the day, man, I'm very confident in JJ McCarthy, and all I can say is I hope, for those of you that have been around the channel long enough, enough. One, I appreciate you for being around long enough, but two, I hope when JJ McCarthy was at like quarterback 26 prices, 27 prices, and I was telling you, go buy JJ McCarthy, I hope you fucking listened. Because you're already looking at a very, very value insulated asset that you've paid off dividends already. And if you don't believe in JJ McCarthy, even the process of buying him back then and selling him now at these prices, you would have made a massive profit. So hopefully you guys listened when I said go buy JJ McCarthy, because that's just the way that the market reacted. And it was so predictable. If you just looked at the market, you could have seen this coming from a mile away. But hey, sometimes people don't like to listen when it comes to, you about the Bears and me about the Vikings because they think we have hometown bias.
Yeah.
Sometimes the hometown bias helps as well. So I will also add on top, we don't talk too much about the projected win total. 8.5 wins for a team that won 14 games last year. That feels incredibly disrespectful. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Whether it's playing drafts or sweating pick'ems, there's no offseason on Underdog, which means there's still plenty of ways to cash in big this summer. No matter the sport you're watching, Underdog has you covered, and all you have to do is pick higher or lower on your favorite athletes from whatever sport, put them into a pick'em entry, watch the winning multiplier increase, click play, and win real cash. So what are you waiting for? Download Underdog and start playing today. Plus, when you use promo code LEAGUEFFB, Underdog will give you a new customer special, which is a free square for your first pick'em entry, and they will give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash, giving you the perfect head start to winning big on Underdog. So if you want to support our show and get in on some daily fantasy sports action, click the link in our description to sign up for Underdog using code LEAGUEFFB. So thank you to our sponsors over at Underdog, and with that out of the way, let's get back into the action. Let's go into the next team, though. Let's talk about everybody's favorite. It's going to be the Green Bay Packers. For us, obviously, this is a team that people have given us crap about in the past because we haven't been the kindest, I guess, in our words for the Packers. That's just as a fan aspect. But projected win total, 9.5 games. They're projected second place in the division this year, coming off of a 2024 season where they went 11-6, finished third in the NFC North, and lost to the Philadelphia Eagles in the wildcard round of the playoffs. No coaching changes for the Green Bay Packers. Offseason departures, nothing major, really just A.J. Dillon leaving this backfield. And then in the offseason, they added Matthew Golden, a first-round wide receiver in the NFL draft, and Savion Williams. But it's pretty much the same roster for the most part outside of Golden. When you look at this team, though, my God, this is going to have to be probably the most options in the top 250 of any team. I think we have, 3, 6, 9, 11 options here. You got Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft, Romeo Doubs, Marshawn Lloyd, Christian Watson, Dontavion Wicks, Luke Musgrave, and Savion Williams. Part of having a ton of fantasy football relevant options in the top 250 is there's usually, some murkiness. We talked about, WAR, where the Bears had some murkiness, Cole Kmet, Loveland, you have Burden, Roshan, Monungai, like there's some murkiness there, where the Vikings, it was clear cut. We know who the guys are and we know who the guys aren't on the roster. This roster having so many, I think there's a ton of questions. And I think the main question that has always been the main question with the Green Bay Packers for at least the last couple of years is the wide receivers. What are we thinking about the wide receivers here? You add Matthew Golden, who is clearly the number one guy. His ADP is 78 right now. Jaden Reed, ADP of 95. Then you have Dobbs, Christian Watson, Dontavion Wicks, and Savion Williams all in the top 250. Talk to me a little bit about this wide receiver room and what you think is going to happen with this, because outside of that, I think it's very clear. Jordan Love, the clear QB1, Josh Jacobs, the clear running back 1, and Tucker Kraft is the tight end 1. But the wide receiver room is the big question mark.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. Anything on here below Romeo Doubs, I don't give a shit. I don't. Like,
it's kind of fair.
Talk to me about Marshawn Lloyd if Jacobs gets injured. Christian Watson, he's always injured. Dontavion Wicks, if you're putting him in your lineup at any point, something went terribly wrong with your season. Luke Musgrave, if something happens to Tucker Kraft, I guess Savion Williams, honestly, I don't even know who the hell he is.
They're talking about Savion Williams could maybe get some run at running back if something happens to Jacobs. So they're talking about him being kind of a gadget guy.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. So
even Marshawn Lloyd is injured right now, and you have Emmanuel Wilson, who's been the guy who's kind of been the backup. There's just so much here, but I think let's just try and simplify this, because I agree with you.
He's always injured. He's not gonna make it.
Yeah, it's tough because I actually liked Marshawn Lloyd as a prospect.
Yeah, me too.
But I agree with you. Christian Watson, Dontavion Wicks, like those guys are probably not too involved. Let's just cut to the meat of the conversation here.
Okay.
Matthew Golden and Jaden Reed. Those are the two guys. Okay. Big fan of Jaden Reed on this channel. I've always talked very highly of Jaden Reed. I wasn't the the biggest Matthew Golden guy coming into the NFL draft, but he got the first round draft capital. How are you viewing those two guys against each other in this offense, and how are you kind of, operating if those guys are on your fantasy football team?
Nice setup, Andrew, because you moving right into the direction. And here goes the point where I probably piss people off. I'm telling you right now, if you taking Matthew Golden over Jaden Reed, I have an announcement to make. You are on crack. You're on crack if you do that. I'm not taking Matthew Golden over Jaden Reed. I'm not taking Matthew Golden over a Golden Eagle from Dutch Bros. Like, I'm telling you now that Jaden Reed should be the number one target for Jordan Love. And if he's not Jordan Love's number one target, then Jordan Love loves crack. Okay. So that's all. So I like Matthew Golden. Like I didn't even hear. Like now keep in mind, guys. Full disclosure, guys. I lean on Andrew for a lot of my like collegiate information. I'm not a big. Oh yeah, I watch NCAA. I'm not the biggest, college football guy. Honestly, I didn't hear Matthew Golden until it was time for me to start researching who I should take in the Dynasty draft. Then I was like, okay, Matthew Golden. Then once I researched him, guess what? I didn't think about drafting him because I was like, I'm gonna get one of the other guys, So his ADP is so I don't know what people are saying that I'm not seeing that Matthew Golden should even be above Jaden Reed, let alone like in the top 100. Like I don't see it. Maybe I'm being too hard on Matthew Golden. I promise it has nothing to do with him being a Packer because I actually have some very nice things to say about Jordan Love for once, unless he's targeting Matthew Golden over Jaden Reed because then, like I said, he's on crack. But yeah, dude, I'm taking Jaden Reed over Matthew Golden every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Matt, he's gonna have to prove it to me. Matthew Golden is gonna have to prove it. He's gonna have to prove it to me. I have to see it to believe it.
I agree, man. I think a lot of why people are out on Jaden Reed is, it's been a couple of years. We've seen flashes with Jaden Reed where he has been so good for fantasy football. But the problem is that this team, the coaching, the scheme, whatever it is, has taken Jaden Reed off of the football field for less talented options on many of occasions with this team. So that has kind of always been the issue where Jaden Reed is just for whatever crazy reasons they are being taken off of the football field. But what I've been hearing this preseason and kind of, in training camp is that Jaden Reed's working a lot in two wide receiver sets this year. So if that is the case and he is on the field in those two wide receiver sets, we have an opportunity where Jaden Reed is a value and a breakout candidate for real this year because on a per route run basis, he's been one of the better fantasy football options in all of fantasy over the last 2 years. He just hasn't had the opportunities come his way and the volume come his way. Golden, like I said, it wasn't he's a Green Bay Packer. It was I wasn't impressed with him before he was drafted. And then he got drafted in the first round and I moved him up on my board because, first round draft capital just moved him up a little bit. But at the end of the day, it still was like, I think Burden is a more talented wide receiver. Maybe not in a better situation, but I think Burden's a more talented guy. I liked guys like Caleb Johnson and RJ Harvey as better dynasty draft picks than Matthew Golden because it felt like those guys were going to get me more fantasy football points over the next couple of years. And I just didn't love the talent of Golden. And it might be crazy, to take the running backs over the wide receivers, but it was, a strong point of this class was the running back rooms. Now, looking at this ADP and startups, values at cost, I'm investing in Reed over Golden. I have Golden in some places, so I'm not like fully betting against him. I do think there's a chance that he does impress. That's obviously a chance with everybody. And I've been hearing some good things out of training camp, but I agree with you. I would have Reed over Golden. But Golden, I think no matter how we cut it, he would be at minimum the wide receiver 2 that we would be looking at. I like him over Dobbs. I like him over Watson. I like him over Wicks. But I do like Reed the most, and I think he's the best value on this team and would probably be the guy that I'm betting on the most. Now, that obviously comes down, like I said, to him playing in two wide receiver sets. Josh Jacobs, being the RB14, I think there might be a little bit of value there as well. Do you think Josh Jacobs is more a running back 1 than he is a running back 2? Because he's currently being valued as a running back 2.
I feel like he's a tweener. I think he'll give you some weeks where he's a running back 1. He'll give you some week where he's a running back 2. I think he's a safe player. So when you plug in, I'm definitely more comfortable with him as my running back 2. Like if I had to go into a season with him as my running back 1, I'd be a little uncomfortable. But as a running back 2,
a volume guy. Like he's going to see a ton of volume in this offense.
Yeah, yeah. As a running back too, he's like a set and forget, like, So I do feel like he has a very safe floor, but he has a very low ceiling. I don't think he's gonna like be like having like huge 30-point fantasy production games. I think he'll give you a safe number that you're satisfied with on a week-to-week basis.
I hear you. I have him as a running back 2 in one spot, and it definitely feels very good to have him in that RB2 slot. He's
Yeah.
behind Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's talk about Tucker Kraft briefly, and then we'll go to Jordan Love. But Tucker Kraft, now the tight end 8. I think there was a time earlier this offseason where Kraft was much cheaper. I think we're out of sleeper territory, value territory on Kraft, and we're more so kind of, at least for me, in my opinion, closer towards the ceiling of his value. He's flirting with this top 100 asset. Do you see a range of outcomes in 2025 where Kraft is a top 5 tight end, or do you think tight end 8 is kind of does this feel right, or is this too high? I mean, how do you feel about Kraft?
I feel like that's probably the sweet spot right there. I feel like there are scenarios where tight ends that are behind him could jump ahead of him. I feel like there's a scenario where tight ends in front of him, he could jump in front of them. I like Tucker Kraft. I like Tucker Kraft mainly because I predicted his success. That's one reason I like Tucker Kraft, because when I was drafting Tucker Kraft in some of our leagues, I couldn't trade him. I couldn't trade him for nothing. Nobody wanted him, and now he's starting to get the respect that he deserves. So, but Tucker Kraft is interesting. Like, refresh my memory. Does this division have tight end 6, 7, and 8, or am I tripping?
I think Loveland was 5 or 6. Yeah, I mean, we have top 10 tight ends across the board in this division, because I haven't even talked about the Lions, and LaPorta is going to be up there too.
Yeah, because Hawkinson was like at 7, right?
Yep, yeah.
Like, see, here's the thing, and this is why I have to dive deeper into your question, because I don't see any scenario on earth where Tucker Kraft could finish ahead of TJ Hawkinson. I just don't think that scenario exists.
Injury.
So yeah, so it's hard. So it's hard. Yeah, injury. So it's hard for me to say, do I think Tucker Kraft could jump into the top 5, because that means that TJ Hawkinson is going to jump into like the top 3 or top 4. So
yeah, and you have Bowers and McBride and Kittle and those guys still that we think are top 3 options. So I hear you. I think we're kind of out of value territory with Kraft, and I think you either have to make the bet now: do I sell here where most people have him as a top 8 guy, or do I just hold and see if he can produce, because I believe he can produce as a top 8 guy? That's kind of where I'm at with Kraft. I think the buy window is shut here. I'm gonna keep this brief on my end. Jordan Love, QB 12, coming in as a guy who's a low end QB 1. I agree with it. I think he has the ability to do it. This offense is good enough. There's weapons across it. Even if there's not solidified weapons, there's enough weapons across it where I think he can still do this and give us those spike weeks. But I'm going to give you the floor, because you said I finally have good things to say about Jordan Love for once. So I'm going to let you take it from here, and then, kind of close out this Jordan Love Green Bay Packers conversation.
Yeah, guys. So you remember how the last slide I said that JJ McCarthy is the crazy hot chick, right? Or Jordan Love is the conservative church girl. She's dependable. She brings food to your job. She only has one request: can you come with me to church on Sunday? That's all she wants. And that's Jordan Love. Can you come with him to church on Sunday? And his church is Lambeau Field. Okay. Jordan Love, just like Josh Jacobs, I feel like he's a very safe QB1. Like you're not going to always get like those huge monster games, but you know what? You're going to be able to win games. And if you have a roster where you have stud wide receivers, stud running backs, and things like that, and Jordan Love's your QB1, you're fine. You're perfectly fine. I don't think he sucks. I said he sucked before. I take that back. He doesn't suck, guys. Come on, guys. He doesn't suck.
Full circle moment right here.
Yeah, he doesn't suck. Everything, like the jersey, the logo, the fans, for the most part, they all suck. Y'all that suck. But Jordan Love, he doesn't suck. He, and that's fine, because I know you guys think I suck too, because I'm a Bears fan. So it's no harm, no foul. So Jordan Love, he doesn't suck. He's a safe player. Like, honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. I took it kind of personal that he had the nerve to, that he wished the Bears happy birthday or something. Like, he suggested that he's like the Bears parent now. Aaron Rodgers is gone. I'm just like, okay, hold up, swole up. You not them not shoes too big for you to fill right now. You're getting a little over your skis. You're getting ahead of yourself. Aaron Rodgers has sustained success of destroying the Bears year after year. You, sir, have not. You couldn't even stop Caleb from winning in Lambeau last year. So let's pump the brakes here. So yeah, that being said, Jordan Love is a safe, pick. And you know what? I'll say this now. I think Andrew's okay with it. We behind the curtain a little bit. We did have in our slides that's coming up, we did have an extra section there for
values.
value. And
Yep.
I gave Jordan, I nominated Jordan Love for the best value player in NFC North because I feel like so many people hate him and so many people think that he's, mid, that you might be actually able to get a nice little deal on them. So there you go, guys. That's probably the peak of how nice I can be about Jordan Love. Okay. So, shut your
Yeah,
mouths.
and War tried to fight me a little bit on taking the values out because I told him I felt like values was more of like a single season redraft type of vibe, whereas breakouts could be more dynasty and things like that. But he tried to fight me because he wanted to keep Jordan Love in there for you guys, so that's why I
Yes.
wanted to give him the floor. But hey, look, we are gonna move on to the Detroit Lions. We'll go over there right now. Projected win total of 10.5 games, coming off of a 2024 season where they had 15 wins, 2 losses, first place in the NFC North, and then lost to the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels in the divisional round of the playoffs. Coaching changes, there's a ton of them with this team. I'll keep them fantasy relevant for now, but they lost a ton of coaches on both sides of the ball. Ben Johnson, obviously the big one, former OC, and then they lost their Aaron Glenn. Yeah, but there was somebody else on the offensive side of the ball that they lost as
Oh yeah,
well.
yeah. He went to the Bears. Oh my God. Antoine Randall.
Yes, their wide receiver coach. John Morton is their new offensive coordinator, who was the Denver passing game coordinator. We saw, a little bit of a Hall of Fame game from him. I don't put too much stock into it, but people were already trying to make the case of like they're missing Ben Johnson. I don't believe anything we see in a Hall of Fame game when guys have been in camp for 1 week really matters. As far as offseason departures, all of that was really coaching. No player personnel moves for them, and they added Isaac Tesla in the NFL draft. Now, when you look at the fantasy football options here, it is very much consolidated. Lots of guys in the top 100. We have 7 of them, or is it 6 of them here? It's 6 of them here. It's Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam LaPorta, Jameson Williams, Jared Goff, David Montgomery, and then Isaac Tesla kind of creeping in there at the 212 in ADP. But War, where do we want to start the conversation? Without really any personnel changes, it does very much feel like back to business as usual. And the biggest question mark with the Bears is how does the departure of Ben Johnson affect them? But is there anybody here specifically that you want to talk about?
Back to business, not so fast, my friend. I am worried about 2 players on this list. Could you guess which 2 players those are? I have a feeling but can you guess which 2 players?
My guess is going to be Jared Goff is one of them, and the other one is probably going to be LaPorta.
Bingo. Those are the 2 guys I feel like are most affected by the departure of Ben Johnson. I feel like those are the 2 guys that need a guy like Ben Johnson to help boost their game. Jared Goff in particular. Jared Goff had Sean McVay, and he was okay. You know what I mean? He was okay, but he went to Detroit and he put up big numbers. It was quiet too. It was a quiet like breakout for Jared Goff. Like, I don't know if it's because Jared Goff seems like really unassuming, kind of like Kirk Cousins, like super unassuming. And then you look at the numbers, and you like, damn, he did that. That's Jared Goff. And the thing is, I think without Ben Johnson, I don't know, man. Obviously, Jared's a grown-ass man. So he's going to go out there. He's going to try to figure this shit out on his own. But, like, it's hard for me to sit here and think that from last season to this season, it's just going to be business as usual. He's going to put up the same production. Because if he does that, then that begs to question, how valuable is Ben Johnson really if Jared Goff is still able to go out there and put up the same production?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, and I don't know if it's because I'm a Bears fan or if it's just because what I'm seeing and hearing with my own eyes. I feel like if you had to choose between those 2, I think that Ben Johnson, this is more of a Ben Johnson production than a Jared Goff like awakening. And Sam LaPorta, I don't think anything's different about Sam LaPorta's talent. I just know, because I'm seeing it in Bears camp, I just know how Ben Johnson runs his schemes for players like Sam LaPorta for that tight end position, and he's not there anymore. So the dirty little secret that a lot of guys don't want to like admit to, because I know Detroit Lions fans are going to defend their team, and you know what? Honestly, when it comes to the Vikings and the Lions, I don't have the same level of hatred of them as the Packers, so I'm able to look at them with a little bit more objectivity than the Packers. What I'll say is, like, guys, like, and this even like even me attacking Lions fans, aren't you? So when a big time offensive coordinator leaves a team like Ben Johnson or Liam for Tampa Bay, guys like that leave. The guy that's coming in always says something like, "Oh yeah, you know, a lot of stuff is going to be the same, but we're going to do things a little bit different, right?" But the thing is that a lot of these guys operate from a place of ego. Like, no new offensive coordinator wants to come in and just run the same shit that the last guy ran. He wants to make his own mark. It's like human nature as a coach. Like, you want to go out and do that. So it's hard for me to sit here and just rationally believe that the new offensive coordinator is going to come in and try to do things the exact same way as Ben Johnson. I don't think that's the case. And the problem with that is that what Ben Johnson was doing outside of some trick plays that didn't work out in the playoffs, what Ben Johnson was doing was fucking perfect. So now you're going to get a new guy coming in here thinking that he could do it the way that he wants to do it, and it's still going to be the same thing because the talent is the same. And it doesn't always work out like that. And the only guys that I could really see on this team, I'm worried about Jameson Williams too. Like, he would be third on the list. The only guys I'm not worried about are the two guys at the top, dude, because I feel like their talent can exceed any coaching scheme.
Yeah, I don't fully disagree. I was kind of going to get into that because I think for myself, Jared Goff, I think there's going to be Ben Johnson questions, but I still think Goff is going to be fine. He's priced at quarterback 21. Last year was like a top 12 guy. So like even if he regresses, you're not going to lose value on where he's currently being valued at. So I don't have any major worries about Jared Goff based off of a price standpoint in dynasty leagues. It's kind of just prove it again, Goff, and Goff has kind of been in prove it mode for the better of half a decade now, and I think he's still in prove it mode again. And I wouldn't bet against him because he's been betting against people have kept betting against Jared Goff for the last little while, and he keeps proving them wrong. So I still like Goff, man. I'll still have him there. ADP of 67 does feel interesting. I'd love to see some of the other guys around him, but QB 21, that quarterback number feels fine. LaPorta, I do think there's, tight end 3, it makes sense from a dynasty standpoint, but it's just tough to return value at the tight end position when you're battling for touches with Gibbs and Amon-Ra and J-Mo and David Montgomery and all of these other guys. Plus, we expect maybe some minor regression without Ben Johnson there. So I agree with you on the LaPorta thing. I was really going to get into it. You kind of already touched on it, but I was going to get into it because the narrative this offseason feels like it has been fade Amon-Ra a tiny bit because we're projecting a Jameson Williams breakout. And I'm not necessarily fading Amon-Ra. I haven't been fading Amon-Ra. And I think Jameson Williams can still break out without Amon-Ra seeing a, negative effect to his dynasty value or his fantasy value. Do you kind of agree with that statement, or are you fade Amon-Ra? I know you're not, but are you fade Amon-Ra and breakout J-Mo?
I'm not fading Amon-Ra. And another thing is, like, I'm never gonna hinge my thoughts on what I do with my team, and I'm not gonna trust a shiesty to perform well, because I never know what they're gonna do. Jameson Williams, George Pickens, I'm never putting them in a prominent role on my team. The highest they could go is wide receiver 3 because I never know when they're gonna fuck up. So I don't trust shiesties. So he could, yeah, I'm not fading Amon-Ra for Jameson shiesty. No.
Fair enough. And then Gibbs, there's not really anything to say here. As elite as they come, right? Where would you take him? Is he your dynasty RB2 or is he RB1? I think it's really just him, Bijan, and Genty right now.
He could be 1, he could be 2. I like him 1. If someone says that they want him 2, I'm fine with that. Genty, we'll see.
But yeah, I agree. Tesla kind of flashed a little bit in that Hall of Fame game. Are you interested at all at that price of wide receiver 84 or no?
I'm not interested.
Fair enough. I'm interested, I think, at a tiny price. But after that game, I don't know if you'll get him cheap. Let's go to the predictions for you. These are your final predictions for the NFC North. Give me the elevator pitch for each of these predictions, man.
Okay. They said Rome wasn't built in a day. You're right. Rome was built in a fucking season because Rome Odunze is going to break out. And when people say Rome is burning, it's not going to be what you think. It's not going to be because Rome is burning down to the ground. It's going to be because Rome is burning cornerbacks on the field. Rome Odunze is going to break out. He's going to take a step forward. His homeboy, Caleb Williams, is going to take a step forward. They are going to be the two new greatest light-skinned tandem in the history of professional football. Okay? All right? And that's my pitch on young Rome. I touched on it a second ago. I got Jared Goff as a bust. And don't hear what I'm not saying. It's still Andrew's catchphrase again.
It's a good phrase.
I'm not. It is. It is. I don't want to say Jared Goff is going to go out there and be complete trash. I'm just saying Jared Goff is going to go from being like, what would you say Jared Goff was? Was he a sneaky quick QB1 last season?
Yeah.
I would say now he could be a middle tier QB2. I think there's going to be some regression without Ben Johnson. I truly believe that. I don't think it's going to impact the Lions' ability to go to the playoffs, potentially win the Super Bowl, because that team is too stacked. I don't think it means Jared Goff can't be useful to your dynasty rosters or your fantasy football rosters. I just don't. When I say bust for Jared Goff, and here's another thing too, there's not many candidates in the NFC North, unless you want to shit on Caleb and JJ and put them as a buzz here. But I'm gonna tell you now, if you think that, then you know you're watching the wrong show. Like, I don't think he's gonna like completely suck. I just don't think he's gonna be what he was last season. It's simple as that. So it's not bust in the sense that he's gonna be garbage, but it's bust in the sense that I think he is gonna regress. We're not gonna get what we got from him the year before. Sleeper, DeAndre Swift. And I'm basing this purely on what I've been hearing in training camp. DeAndre Swift has been out there sunning people, and got to keep him in mind, guys. Keep him in mind. He had a very pedestrian season last year, but we had a very pedestrian coach, and we had a very pedestrian offensive line. Everything was pedestrian last season. So how could you expect DeAndre Swift to be, a stud behind a pedestrian everything? So I just keep him in mind. I keep that entire backfield in mind. If I could have made the sleeper the Bears backfield, I would have, but I had to pick one guy. The guy who I think is going to be the running back one starting the season at least is going to be DeAndre Swift.
All right, so there's War's bold predictions, I guess, for breakouts, busts, and sleepers in the NFC North. Going to mine, this is kind of what I'm predicting, man. I think Rome Odunze is the breakout. He's the player that I think is the most clear. I've been big Rome fan, preached it all off season. I don't really need to get too much deeper into it. I think Ben Johnson is going to be positive for him. I think when you look at the offseason reports, how Ben Johnson, Antoine Randall L, all of these guys have been speaking about him, it's pointing towards Rome Odunze breakout season. So I'm on board with that. The bust, I'm going with Sam LaPorta, and I kind of touched on it too. It's hard to return value at that tight end position when you're battling for a competition of targets with guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamison Williams, all of these guys, and we are projecting a tiny bit of regression from the offense. That is the only reason why I have Sam LaPorta as a bust. I would probably not be drafting him at that value. I would probably not be holding him at that value. I would probably be trying to move off of him in down tier and or just up tier from Sam LaPorta into the Trey McBrides of the world. So I do have him as the bust, even though I like him as a player. It's just purely based off of value at this point. My sleeper is going to be Jordan Mason, kind of similar argument to what you made, War, where I think this backfield, there's going to be definitely guys in there that are valuable. Jordan Mason is going outside of the top 100 assets. If he's stealing goal line work, if he's getting early down work, and we project that to be a top 5 offensive line in football with one of the best offenses, an offensive-minded coach in football, I'm buying in anywhere I can get it. Give me Jordan Mason as current value, because I still believe, even though those KTC values have Aaron Jones behind Jordan Mason, I think the majority of the community still values Aaron Jones ahead of Jordan Mason. And if I can get him as a 1B price, put him on my bench, let something happen, God forbid anything happen to Aaron Jones injury-wise, Jordan Mason's a league winner immediately. So a sleeper for me here this year. But that is the NFC North. Not too bad, man. Got in and out in an hour after the edit. We'll see what that looks like. So it's kind of where I wanted to be at. We're doing this for every single division in football. Right after this episode, we're going to record the AFC North, so you guys will see that this week as well. And then we'll kind of work our way around South, West, East, all that good stuff, leading up to the first week of football. Appreciate everybody who's watched this. This is a very fun episode for us to do. It doesn't usually perform very well for whatever odd reason on our channel, so if you do like this content, please show us some love, because it really does help us in the algorithm. So hit the like button, comment down below, tell us your thoughts on the division, what you think about some of our predictions, all that good stuff, and make sure sure you're subscribed to this channel as well. Join our free Discord. You know, you guys know everything at this point. I don't need to tell you too much. War, where can they find you at if they want some additional wrestling content from you? And then we'll get on out of here.
If you want some additional wrestling content from me, join us, add us, subscribe to us on the Crimson Mass Show YouTube channel. It's a new channel in addition to our previous channel that we still run, Crimson Mass Pro Wrestling. This is a new channel, and I want to focus all the attention on the Crimson Mass Show channel. We're looking to grow that one, and you're gonna see some long form content there. So
hell yeah, go give them a subscribe, guys. Do the same to this show. We love you. Nothing else for you today. We'll see you on the next episode. Till then, peace out.